Happy week 5, everyone. It's finally here, and I'm super excited because it means that we're moving away from formative and into the idea of portfolio 2 and portfolio 1. So let me share my screen and get you started on what you can expect this week. All right, so the first thing you can see is the lecture, and this will end our look at the formative information you need to be successful in Portfolio 1 and 2, and that's to look at the idea of grammatical and rhetorical use of diction, concision, and syntax. And so we'll be doing a laser focus on that. Your lecture is here for you, and then what you're going to do with it as a result is here for you as well. It is going to take it into the shape of a group presentation, and that information is here for you. This is the outcome, not the beginning. You will be doing a discussion board, as you can see in step 2 here first. So you have been each assigned an article that you will read. You will participate in a discussion board with your peers, and then you will participate in collaborating how your outcome is going to look on our Padlet. The discussion is here for you. You can see I have 7 groups linked here. If when you go into your discussion, you're going to see the title of your speech so that you can get to it automatically. It will look something like this on your end, and I can click and go to the different groups, but you can see that this group, if you're in this group and this is what it defaults to, this is the text you're reading. To find the actual text itself, you're going to click here. And it will pull up a document and a link to my other monitor so you can't see it, but it'll pull up a document for you labeled the same way, labeled with Kennedy that you can access and link. And here's what you're going to do with that article. You're going to read the article and you're going to annotate for the rhetorical elements. So think Space Cat. Then participate in the discussion group with your peers where you apply what you learned in the lecture here, and then consider how you're going to bring this information to life for your peers with this specific information. And just like we did earlier in the semester with Padlet, you're going to click this plus mark. Now, hear me, I do not want separate submissions. I want one submission per group. You've got to work together so that you can make this happen. And I'll put that out in announcements as well, but it is very important that your group members participate in putting this together. That's why this will be due, the original discussion will be due on Wednesday to give you guys time to plan out step 4 and step 5 before the deadline for the Padlet at the end of the week. In addition to this, you also have your grammar focus of lessons. And again, just like before, I've pulled those out of Soft Chalk and I've put them into a link. I'm hoping those are working better for you. And you have a quiz that follows. And then the final part is Portfolio 1 and Portfolio 2. Instead of actually doing a Portfolio 1 piece this week, I'm actually going to lecture it for you. I'm going to be the model. I'm going to teach you the writing process. I'm going to break down those steps for you. And then you're going to take my model and create your own in the process analysis Portfolio 2 piece. So let's look at that information so you know exactly what it is you're supposed to be doing. The lecture for the writing process where I model it for you is here. The assignment guidelines for what you're producing are here. And in this assignment, using your discussion for topic that you've decided on, you are going to choose a focus. And in that focus, you are going to outline the steps that you need to take in order to create some sort of manageable thing. It doesn't have to be a product necessarily. I mean, writing process is not a product necessarily, but it is the process of doing something. And so that's what it takes the shape of, outlining the steps of those pieces. And instead of a traditional essay, we're going to do this in a multimedia type of way. You can use pretty much anything to make your content come to life. One of my favorite platforms is Canva. It allows you to do infographics. It allows you to create videos. It allows you to create PowerPoint-like slide decks. I find it very easy to use, and there is a free version if you do not have a paid version. You can also use Adobe Spark, Prezi, but make sure that it's multimodal. In other words, has media within it. And then finally, you're going to write a brief reflection about 300 or 400 words in MLA that discusses your experience in creating that process and what you've learned about process analysis along the way. So I've got information down here for what the success criteria looks like. If you do a video, it needs to be 7 minutes. If you do an infographic, it needs to use visually appealing layout. The submission needs to be either this way as a video file or a link to the video, an infographic, or the image of the infographic or a link to your infographic, and of course your reflection as well. I've also provided 3 student samples for you here so that you can see what the outcome of this should look like. We'll look at the first one for you. This is how to make empanadas. She used Instagram and Reels to create this. Takes just a few seconds for it to come up. So you can see she's going to show how to make empanadas. Her topic was the appropriation of food culture and food trends. So it fits really well for her to show the process of making traditional empanadas as a part of what her research was. Now let me go back to the assignment. And this one is about using technology in farming was his topic.
How to install an irrigation system. Having to install an irrigation system can be challenging.
So he's going to walk you through how to install an irrigation system. Again, he chose to make a video of how that works. And again, his topic was technology in food culture. And then lastly, this one was about athlete nutrition was her topic. And she created an infographic, and her infographic walked through the steps of creating healthy ice cream. And in her reflection, it's a little hard to see on this one. You're like, well, that's not a lot of work. But in her reflections, she did a lot of explaining how it was important for her and her family to find a way to enjoy the things that they always enjoyed. Having ice cream on Sundays is a tradition in her family. And she didn't want to miss out just because she was trying to eat much more healthy and much more conscious of her body. And so by developing this plan, by developing these types of foods that fit into her family's way of life, really supported her in continuing to stay healthy as an athlete, but also to still be a part of her family. So those are 3 different options for you to look at. You've got the healthy ice cream, the irrigation system, how to make empanadas, and they fit back to those discussion 4 topics that they began with. So that is your process for this week. You're going to begin with diction, syntax, and concision in writing. You're going to practice that through a group discussion with your peers. You're going to complete the grammar exercises for this week, the quiz and the lecture. And then finally, you're going to view my writing process, how to process analysis before you create your first submission in Portfolio 2 for your process analysis. So that's what's on tap this week. I'm super excited to see what you share, particularly in your process analysis as we go into these pieces of Portfolio 1 and Portfolio 2, and your topic really starts to emerge in a different way. Remember, everything you're creating for Portfolio 2 becomes a part of Portfolio 3 in the end. So you really are working on the end as we speak. All right, happy week 5. I'll see you in week 6.